Now, turn off all the lights and get ready to never sleep again.
I teach an online course in death investigation. One of my students is a serial killer. By E. Paul 13. Dear Professor, I wanted to shoot you a quick thanks. This is the best class I've ever taken. The latest section on the crime scene processing has been particularly helpful. Becky. I rolled my eyes. Submit your work on time, Becky, and you won't have to kiss my ass for a B, I muttered. The local community college hosts a non-credit online death investigation class. I was invited to teach the course when I retired from the coroner's office. It's a great gig and pays well considering the lack of work involved. Tell a couple of war stories, describe a few grisly suicides or brutal murders. They'll love you. The class favorite is my decomp floater, one of my very first autopsies. I barely touched that rotten flesh with the scalpel, and he exploded like an overfilled balloon. He just popped. Bile splattered the walls, intestines sprayed like confetti. The room became an instant gas chamber. I couldn't stop screaming. I was soaked with foul-smelling juices. The medical examiner couldn't stop laughing. I chewed on my pencil eraser and studied Becky's profile picture. A young girl wearing a red dress with a big carefree grin on her face. Blonde curls, blue eyes, light freckles on her cheeks. Pretty girl. But I couldn't help shake the feeling that I'd seen her before. Always an unsettling notion for a coroner. I lifted my coffee mug for a sip, and I saw a damp ring encircling a picture of Becky on yesterday's newspaper. I gasped and almost spilled the coffee. Her smiling face was beneath a grim headline. I scanned the article. Rebecca Scholler, missing under suspicious circumstances. So I had seen the picture before. Becky, your profile picture is supposed to be of you. The picture you're using is from the news. A missing girl. This is inappropriate. Please fix. I'm no stranger to this sort of thing. These are, after all, kids. Last semester I had Osama bin Laden, Jesus Christ, and Eminem in my class. Profile pranks is what the staff called it. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was an email from Becky. Sorry, it's just that I was much prettier when I was alive. LOL. The new profile picture was of the same young blonde, only now she wasn't smiling, and her eyes were wrong. She was too white. The backdrop was a cold slab of concrete. A deep unease settled in my gut. You don't spend a lifetime disassembling people and not recognize death when you're looking at it. Those eyes were lifeless. A single white rose was clenched between her teeth. This was a corpse. I tapped reply, but my thumbs hovered over the screen. I didn't know what to say or do. Family says they have not seen Tracy McRae since last Monday. My attention snapped to the TV that was droning in the background. An animated news anchor was gesturing wildly beneath a photograph of a pretty woman in her 30s. A big missing in red stencil was plastered above a woman's photograph. I turned up the volume. My heart ticked up a notch. I've seen this woman before. Those brown curls, brown eyes. Authorities are perplexed by the rash of missing persons reports in the Briar Township area, and they urge anyone with information to come forward. It can't be, I told the news anchor firmly. Hannah, my wife, asked from the kitchen. Nothing, I mumbled, trying to force the unease from my voice. I'm going to head to the grocery store, she said, grabbing her keys from the counter. Need anything? Police say they have no evidence that indicates these missing individuals are in any way related. No. I said absently. I scrolled through my class list on my phone, and there she was, Tracy McRae. I opened up an email. Last online 1 hour ago. How is that possible? She's been missing for a week. I opened an email. Who are you? Almost immediately, my phone buzzed. Professor, what do you mean? It's me, Tracy. LOL. The profile picture had been changed. It was a photograph of Tracy. Her neatly decapitated head stood atop what looked like a kitchen table. A single white rose sat in a vase next to her head. Coagulated blood pooled around the severed neck. Ghost white lips were twisted into a soundless scream. Her dead eyes were wide open, still reflecting some of the terror they had seen before death. I've seen that look countless times. Poets and academics love to think of death as romantic. It's not. Everyone has that same shocked look on their face when death comes knocking. You shit and piss yourself. You're the butt of some cop's joke that's helping the coroner lug your smelly body out of your shitty apartment. You end up with PBJ crumbs on your tits from the coroner that's rushing his lunch so he can finish your autopsy early. You end up as a toxology report and final death letter that winds up in a dusty filing cabinet with 1,000 other letters, and you're forgotten before dinner. When my hands finally stopped shaking, I dialed a cop buddy that was still on the force, and I hastily explained the situation. He's a homicide detective. A good one. There was a long pause. I know it sounds crazy, Tim, I offered. It most certainly does. Can you help? I asked. He sighed. Based on the emails you sent me, it looks like the guy is using a VPN. This is going to take some real work. I need to make some phone calls. I'll get back to you. I poured myself a strong drink. I wanted to shoot you a quick thanks. This is the best class I've ever taken. The latest section on crime scene processing has been particularly helpful. What did she mean by that? Particularly helpful? I took a swig, grimaced, and thought about what I'd been teaching these kids. Had I been instructing the perfect murder? Had I been giving them too much information on how to pull it off? A major portion of the course surrounds arrest and prosecution. It deals in problems facing investigators, district attorneys, and juries. I opened an assignment that had been submitted by Tracy McRae's account yesterday. The paper was highlighting the necessity of reliable witnesses or physical evidence required for a murder charge. It touched on the importance of a suspect confession and how much harder an investigation is when the killer asks for an attorney before an interrogation. I opened an assignment that had been submitted by Rebecca Scholar's account, Becky, 2 days ago. This paper had been detailing the burden of probable cause, the rarity of DNA evidence, and the mythology of corpse disposal. There were even a few paragraphs dedicated to the difficulty in using electronic evidence, like email, in a court proceeding. I shuddered. My class is a playbook for any would-be serial killer. How many of my students were in danger? How many are missing as we speak? This can't be real, I mumbled. I started searching each student name in my class, and I found a linked news article for a third woman, Gloria Patterson. You guessed it, missing. The article was published 6 days ago. Against my better judgment, I messaged Gloria Patterson's account. Stop this. Please. My phone buzzed less than a minute later. How's the pic? I almost puked from the terror that slammed into my chest. I was looking at my wife, Hannah. It was her college yearbook photo, but it was her. I dialed Hannah's cell as quickly as I could. That's when I heard the soft, muffled ringtone coming from somewhere outside. I crept out into the darkness and followed the muffled ringing. Her car was still in the driveway. The dome light was on. It started to rain, a light sprinkle that pattered off the windshield of her car. Dread clawed up my throat and back down into my guts as I crept closer. On the driver's side was a ringing cell phone. Her cell phone. Next to the phone was a rose. A single white rose. "Where are you, you bastard?" I screamed so loud my voice cracked. My neighbor's porch light turned on. The guy across the street cupped his hands against his window and peered out at me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Dread filled me as I saw the notification. A new email from Gloria Patterson's account. The name was in bold, next to the picture of my wife. "Don't worry, Professor. I'll change my profile picture real soon. Probably tonight." Greetings, spoils and ghouls. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out. If you have a request or suggestion, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. We hope you enjoyed this video, and remember to stay spooky.